Hi guys, I'm Andrew Powell, I'm a chiropractor, kinesiologist, and these days a money mindset expert. So who would have thought? Thanks to Adam's help. My notes are not really that great compared to Pete's, but they'll have to do. So looking back where I was at 12 months ago is basically I'd gone through the program that Adam described to you guys. So as a result of that, I'd written this book, The Money's in the Mindset, the 7 Subconscious Keys to a Profitable Practice. So I had this book and I had a plan of what to do with it, but I hadn't really gone anywhere with it at that stage. So more or less, basically, I was unknown outside of my own clinic. I was getting some good results within my clinic, but you know, there was this whole wide world out there that I hadn't really tackled. So at that stage, I had started doing a 10-week money mindset program with other practitioners, and largely with practitioners within the Health Leaders Academy group. And it was because of my own experience and because I'd seen a real need there. I've been involved in this group for a number of years now, and I've kind of watched what happens. You know, I'm a pretty keen observer of people, and I've seen that some people would take the information and just take off like a rocket, and other people would take the same information and sputter along and not really go anywhere. And you know, I thought, what's the difference here? What's holding us back as health practitioners? And I realised really it was what was going on up here that was the key difference between these two groups of people. So at this stage I had my book and I had a pretty powerful vision for inspiring health practitioners, because I have a very, very strong belief in what we do and in the need for it in our society. And I could see colleagues around me who were struggling and who were getting burned out no matter how great their work was. You know, they were really suffering. And so I thought, you know what, I've found a way that's worked for me. I really want to share this with practitioners and with the world. So at that stage I was doing a 10-week money mindset program with a handful of clients from the Health Leaders Academy. So now, over the past 12 months, basically that 10-week program's been expanded into a 12-month program now that involves a number of components. In that time I've sold about 400 copies of my book, which, you know, it's not going to break any world records, but for me that was a pretty big deal. That's 400 health practitioners who now have some really useful and powerful information to go forwards and grow things in their own life and their own practice. So over that time I've also run my one-day money mindset workshop. I've run 8 of those for anywhere from sort of 20 to 120 practitioners. So when I looked at the numbers, I had, I'm not sure exactly where, but over 300 practitioners who've attended that one day. And the feedback I've had from that day has been, you know, people telling me this has changed my life, this has happened, that's happened. It's been, you know, really powerful to see how that's impacted people. And to me, that's what being a leader in health was really all about, was empowering us as a profession, because really we should be, you know, people should be coming to us before they even consider going to their GP. That's kind of my vision. So I've run that 8 times, 300 attendees. I've run my first 3-day boot camp, which was really a very powerful experience. It was for a small group, you know, 20 or 30 people. And the feedback I had from that was things like transformational and life-changing, and you know, really it was a pretty powerful. I was even surprised myself, for me personally, what a transformational event that was. So a couple of highlights that really meant something to me, maybe not to other people, but were some of the attendees at that course. For instance, I had my original boss in chiropractic who first employed me and ultimately ended up selling me my clinic that I currently own. So that was really kind of a full circle moment. It was like, you know, the students become the teacher kind of deal. I also had my original mentor who taught me applied kinesiology, who was a hugely influential person in my live, come along and get a lot out of it. So again, that was really like, wow, you know, that was very, very powerful for me. So not only that, my main modality is applied kinesiology, and through this process I've kind of really got the people that I see as all the leaders within that modality on board with what I do. And that was kind of the scariest thing for me, was am I going to be judged by my peers for this? Because it's a little bit taboo to talk about money in health, right? It's kind of, that's not really what we're about. And so I was a bit afraid that I'd be a bit of an outcast for that, and to have been really accepted as, yes, this is something that's needed in our profession was pretty profound for me. So throughout all that time, I've maintained my own private practice, my growing practice. I've reduced my hours back to a point where instead of feeling exhausted and overwhelmed by my practice, I really enjoy the amount of time that I spend there. It's growing. You know, we've recently employed 2 new massage therapists. We see sort of 120 to 150 patients a week, so you know it's a thriving practice. Throughout that time, I tend to take 1 to 2 months a year off to travel. It's another one of my passions. So recently I travelled to Jordan, Cyprus and Lebanon to attend a friend's wedding. So I feel like I'm not just teaching, but I'm really setting an example of what's possible as well. You know, I like to think I'm really walking my talk. So I've also created something called the VIP Prosperity Circle, which is a monthly group session that I do, which is really about elevating health practitioners and allowing them to get what they deserve out of their practice. Besides my own book, I've been featured as an author in this book, The Spirit of Success, alongside people like Dr. Wayne Dyer, Neil Donald Walsh, Deepak Chopra, Esther and Jerry Hicks, Mark Victor Hansen. So some really big names, you know, names that I never ever thought that I would be a published author with people like that. So that was pretty special. Not only have I been teaching live, but my most recent sort of achievement with Adam's guidance is I've started teaching via webinars. So again, I'm creating a level of leverage whereby I can reach a wider audience. And to me, every health practitioner needs to hear what I have to share. So that's been really valuable. I've become a regular writer in a magazine called The Art of Healing and a newspaper called Inner Self, which is all about personal development. So I'm basically reaching out to a much wider audience than I could ever have hoped to embrace within my own clinic. So a few of the questions that were involved in the brief for this was, what's the greatest success that you've had? And for me, really, the greatest success was stepping into that role of becoming the expert and actually really owning it and saying, you know what, I really am an expert at this and I've got something powerful to share with people and I'm going to do whatever it takes to share it. So, in my most recent one-day event, I had people come up to me, and someone in particular, she came up to me and she said, you know what, I've been using you as a bit of an invisible mentor for me over the past 2 years. We've never met, but if it weren't for you, I wouldn't still be in practice. And that meant a lot. So what I've learnt most, I guess, from Adam is really the business model to actually put all that together that's allowed me to really create that, the model of moving people through the various levels and meeting them at where they're at, giving them what they need at that point, but also making more available to them. So creating a model that supports my clients, but also supports me. So the last question was, why do you think you should win? And basically, I believe that what I'm doing is really empowering health practitioners, and I think that's what needs to happen. I think we've got incredible gifts to share, and so my vision is to really help people to share those and to make the world a better place. So that's it. Thanks, guys.